$7.98 for it on Amazon.
Yeah,
We only get 3
Nope, brand
oh
new.
wow, yeah, I guess they're coming down in price.
Lights are on, boss.
Okay, lights are on. Pledge allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll do roll call.
Counselor Kane?
Here.
Counselor Fellows?
Here.
Counselor Keller?
Yes, here.
Counselor Larochelle?
Here.
Counselor Lunt?
Here?
Counselor Moore?
He's excused.
Make a motion to approve as
And I'll second
absent.
it.
Second.
There we
Well,
go.
it was
We vote on it?
Yeah.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Yep.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Okay. And Counselor Robichaud?
Yeah.
All right. The vote was 6-0 to excuse Counselor Moore. First item is executive session. We have 2 executive sessions. We'll vote on them separately. Okay? Vote 2023-102 per 1 MRSA Section 4056A, Personnel Matters.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second it.
Don't know. We'll do a second vote, then I'll ask.
we should vote on it.
We have to vote on them separately because
okay.
they're 2 separate issues. All right, thank you. 6-0, order passed. And 2023-103 is per 1 MRSA Section 4056D, labor negotiations.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0. All right.
Are we staying here, or are we? Okay.
You can stay in here. Just give me 1 second, and I will go into,
Hibernation?
I'll go turn that off and turn off the mics for a minute for you.
Thank you.
It does.
Read it when the light comes on.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
All right, we're back in session.
All right, Counselor Larochelle, seconded by Counselor Lunt, moved to come out of executive session. All in favor? Okay. Order passed, vote 6-0. All right. Next item is audience participation in response for agenda items. And at this time, those in the audience who wish to speak could approach the lectern to address items or issues on the agenda. Use the microphone and state your name for the record, please.
Anyone from the audience?
Oh, I noticed you don't have open.
No, that's okay, because you're going to cover it there.
Oh, okay.
And next is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered routine and will be considered for adoption by one motion with no separate discussion unless a counselor requests an item be removed. Any counselor wishing to remove an item may do so now. Seeing none, Order 2023-104 to approve the municipal accounts payable warrants in the amount of $336,514.91. The municipal payroll warrants in the amount of $444,846.87. School accounts payable warrants in the amount of $146,578.89. School payroll warrants, the amount is $509,354.65. And to set a public hearing for June 20th for a victualler's license for Cheese the Day, a food truck.
I'll make a motion that we approve consent agenda.
A second. A vote?
Thank you. Order passed, 6-0. Next item is council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. Order 2023-105, an amendment to the revolving loan fund ordinance. This is the first reading. We'll have a roll call vote.
I'll make a motion for discussion.
A second?
Yeah, I mean, there was good discussion on this. I mean, it was expressed to us that some of the numbers on this hadn't been increased for years, and the relevancy of the numbers that were allowed have changed quite a bit, and we do have some good opportunities. So the I think it's well worth it
Yeah,
at this point in
I
time.
agree.
I believe this is only the first reading. A second reading, if there are people that have other opinions, they
Right.
certainly can
Yeah,
come to the hearing.
Absolutely.
All right, would you like me to take a roll call vote?
Yep, take a vote.
Counselor Kane?
Yes.
Counselor Fellows?
Yes.
Counselor Keller?
Yes.
Counselor LaRochelle?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Robichaud?
Yes.
Counselor Moore is absent. We have 6 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed, vote 6-0. The next item is Order 2023-106, the Memorandum of Agreement with the Teamsters.
I make a motion that we approve.
Second?
A vote.
Discussion?
Discussion first. Anyone want to discuss?
And I can recap it if you want.
Yeah,
I'm good. I mean,
Yep. How long was the term on the agreement?
It's a 3-year contract, 555 for the COLAs. We addressed some inequities with the employer portion of the health coverage, which now matches town policy, and then just some other small changes to policy. I think the other big one was bereavement changed and limiting comp hours to 40 hours from, which I believe was 100, then was lowered to 80. So now they can carry 80 through May 1st, which will then get paid out and down to 40 through the summer. Other than that, that's the biggest thing is just the wages, and that's 555.
Well, do you have the national data on the increase in cost of living, what the federal government's using?
The last time I saw a month over month, I know it's come down, but I think we were hovering around 7% or 8% last couple of months.
So I mean, I think that's something that we take this 5% in consideration of that we're below what the overall cost increase is. So the
right.
public may look at that and go, oh my God, 5%. We've been given 1% for years.
And some of the background there too is obviously in 2021 we used a portion of undesignated fund balance to make a market adjustment for all the staff. Even following that market adjustment, you're probably still around 10 or 13% from market rate. And then we kind of, that was part of the negotiation, base it on comparable towns and what other towns are paying, and this is kind of where we landed with this contract.
Seems reasonable to me.
A vote.
Roll call, or is that
Roll
a
call.
standard vote?
Or is it
This one's not a roll call vote.
Okay.
vote on it?
Favor? All right, vote 6-0. The order passed. Next item is Order 2023-107. This is to award the bid for road striping in 2023.
Make a motion for discussion.
Second?
Glenn, do you know if in years past we've done a wide stripe down Davis Street to divide the walking bike path from the roadway? Do you know if that's included in this? I think we usually kind of bring this up pretty much every year just to see so it gets marked well.
Sure. Let me just pull up the.
I think, last time we talked about it, I think Randy said that the crosswalks and all of that were being done by Public Works, not by the striping team. And I don't know about this stripe along Davis Street, but it's in
It's
sore
been
need.
done in years past, I believe, from the striping company, I do believe, because it's a mile of a pretty wide stripe, so.
Just bear with me for a second while I look at the spec. Numbers 2305. So this is for scope of work. Okay, so there's a lot of striping in here. So what was it specific to? Davis Street?
Davis Street, correct.
All right.
And if not, I mean, as long as it's actually mentioned that it is nice to get that done throughout the summer and have markings, because if not, people just park along the
They
roadway
actually
there.
park on the bike path.
Correct.
So it doesn't, just at first glance, it doesn't look like Davis Street is on there. So I can have Randy have a conversation with Lucas, about Davis Street.
Because that definitely needs to be restriped.
Yeah.
I went over it the other day and you can hardly see it.
Yeah, you've got about 157,291 linear feet of double yellow, and this is a lot of striping. So, but I don't see Davis, so I'll have Randy reach out to the contractor once that moves forward to see what that would be for a change order.
Yeah. And in years past, I think they've actually used a stencil of the bike.
Yeah.
Was it a
Yeah,
bike
there was
that they've
one
actually
down
did down there also, so people can just identify that
Yeah.
extra lane is for the extension of the walking trail.
Okay.
I have a question on the striping. Is that non-state roads that are getting striped, or because there's some, so like
So
School Street, Main Street, Route 9, that's all owned by the state. Is that part of the striping?
So Route 9, Route 125, which I believe is excluded due to the DOT project, and 196 from the Topsom line to the Lewiston line are all in the spec.
So do we get any refund
So
from the
state
state?
aid, I believe we get, I don't know if it's a contract amount that the state just kind of pays us a lump sum. I don't think it's specific to like items in this punch list,
Okay.
but that is something that's also still new to me because there's still a conversation to be had with DOT about this urban compact and Main Street and some of the responsibility for 125 that we
Right.
take on already. And I've had conversations with our state representative, Mason, about some of that, and that's still something I'm wrapping my head around how some of this stuff works, but it is in this spec, the 196 and Route 9.
Thank you. Any more questions? Ready to vote?
All in favor? Vote is 6-0. Order passed. Next item is an appointment to the Lisbon Development Committee. We have Mr. Dean Willie, and this would be as an associate member because that's the opening that's there right now.
I'll make that motion. That we accept them.
I'll second that.
I believe we uploaded the information that Mr. Willie gave us, but I think everybody's familiar with him. And did you want to?
Dean's a good guy. I think he'd make a good addition to that.
Absolutely.
All right.
I know that whatever he attacks, he attacks thoroughly.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Are you ready for a vote?
Ready to vote? Yay.
Okay. Vote is 6-0. Order passed. Next item, other business. The town manager's report.
Okay, so just got a couple things. I see Mr. Chapman, is that it, Will? He's here as a representative for the 6 Union Street thing we have going on, so I'll just invite you to come up, see what you want to talk about in regards to that. So.
All right. Well, mainly what I wanted to do was I was out of town last time, so Monica, a representative of mine, came up here. So I just wanted to come up and introduce myself because I knew that you guys had some questions and to see if I could answer any questions that you had, you know, just to wrap your head around what I'm thinking and let you lay eyes on me.
Mr. Chair, the time frame that we actually put, I mean, are you still actively working on purchasing and doing a dismantling of the building? I mean, is that still your thoughts?
I am still actively working on it. As you guys know, the difficult part is getting somebody out there to get a bid for what's out there. I mean, we've already got, somebody came by and gave us an estimate, it's a $3,000 estimate just to come out and do the bid. Yeah. So, you know, I'm committed to the project. I want to know, I'm working with Ross and I want to work with Mark to find out what would be best for the town of Lisbon in that spot. And that's going to dictate what I'm willing and what's able to be put there. I know it needs to come down. But, you know, if it's $150,000 to take it out of there, and I'm just throwing wild numbers out of there, then it's not economically feasible. I mean, it's just not, unless, you know, you can put enough units in there to recoup that.
So I would just say follow up with me tomorrow. I had folks come to so obviously if your thing falls through or we still have to proceed. I did have folks come on site for the walkthrough. I can give you those companies' contact info and see if maybe you can solicit some quotes for them.
That would be really helpful.
Yeah, because either way, our RFP closes on the 9th, and unless the council grants an extension beyond the 17th, we would have to move forward based on the order. So I'd love to see us not have to get involved if we don't have to. So.
Right, and I don't want you guys to either. I want to figure out what we can do. It's like I was telling Miles earlier. I was like, I'll knock it down tomorrow if you'll give me a permit. But disposing of that, the one guy that came out there, you know, it's one thing if it's asbestos wrapped on the pipes, but he's like, well, you got to check the siding, you got to check the floor tiles, you got to check the ceiling. And I'm like, and he's talking about wetting it all down, and I already know the cost per ton is going to be around $150, $165 a ton to move it out if they have to wet it all down. So we are actively moving ahead and trying to get this done. And I want to operate within the time frame that the council sets up. I just want you guys to know the hurdles and the roadblocks that we're running into. It's not because we're sitting on our hands.
Right.
So you still, if I may, so
Yeah.
the idea of purchasing, it still comes down to whether it's economically feasible for you. I mean, any business person would actually have to look at that avenue of it, correct?
Exactly. You know, if it's $25,000 to knock it down and haul it out, then depending on what Mark and you guys will let me put there, then it works. But like I said, and just throwing wild numbers, if it's $250,000 to knock it down, I don't want to be tag you're it.
No, definitely not. No one would, I don't believe. Yeah.
That's village zoning down there, so you
Yeah.
pretty well know what you can put there.
Yeah, well, my base research of this so far is, and I'm not positive about it, I got to talk to Mark about it, it almost looks like the driveway from the property next door encroaches on that property, but I don't know if that's gone by adverse possession or if it's still part of it, because that'll give us an idea of what we can put there, because I know that I talked to Ross about a mixture of individual units and small retail.
Can I ask one more question?
That's the
Yeah, go ahead.
that's the carport place next door you're talking
Yes,
about. Yeah.
exactly.
It is
But I
close.
also don't want to go down there and go, okay, this is mine now. Thank you for the carport. Sucks to be you.
But to be totally honest, with most people that buy it will. So, I mean, it basically comes down to
Exactly.
square footage and,
But this is the
Yeah.
beginning of a relationship. You know, I don't want to come in here. I want to come in here and do what's looked for in the town, what's economically feasible, and not make enemies along the way.
gotcha. Just wanted, so your representative mentioned that you actually have a couple other properties in town.
Yeah.
Are you willing to actually kind of tell us where they?
Oh, absolutely. I own a lot over on Hayfield that they're already digging the foundation out. I bought the one on Shady as well. And I'm about to sign the agreements on 4 lots over off Ridge Road. Yeah, I'm looking to invest in town. And I don't know if you saw the report or the article in the Portland Press Herald where they said Lisbon is the new Westbrook. That was my wife. So she's all in too.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
So any other questions I can answer for any of you or try to answer?
No, I just would emphasize to touch base with the town manager
Oh,
afterwards.
I
I think it would
absolutely
be a big
will.
help.
Yeah. I don't have a card on me, but I'll
That's
get it
okay.
from Ross tomorrow.
Yeah, I know where to find you.
Yep. You know where I am. Right down there.
Anything else for me?
Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No
thank you
problem.
for the
Thank you.
information.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That helped a lot. Absolutely.
Thanks for letting me sign at the end of your agenda. I thought it was a 7 o'clock start, so I thought I was only a couple minutes late. I'm glad I snuck in for the final fireworks anyway. So I'll make it brief because I'm sure you all want to get home. Looking at the agenda items, understanding what's on here, I had some questions about one, and I know you already voted on it. I didn't get a chance to see that vote yet. I'll watch it later. Could you just give me a little bit of context around the amendment for the revolving loan fund ordinance, first reading, and the justification for increases in those areas?
Yeah, sure. So my understanding is that the ordinance was drafted in 2008, and to just have a meaningful loan program. We just adjusted those numbers based on current market conditions so we can give more opportunities to folks to utilize the program. That's kind of just the recommendation of the Community Development or Economic Development and the Finance Department.
Okay. And the reason I ask that question is it's designed to be a gap funding program. It's not designed to be a primary funding program.
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Are we saying that we have folks that are coming into town on a larger scale businesses that in our current, the current amounts that we had listed weren't meeting those needs?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
Well, I understand there might be an NDA, but and I'm not going to get you guys to say that, but I'm just saying, are we saying that there are businesses that are coming in that are able to secure primary funding through the normal methods for getting funding, but the gap in funding that the town would offer here, those limits of $100,000 and $250,000 wouldn't satisfy at anywhere from 25, 50, or 75% of those numbers? We're still short?
This opportunity is the reason it's changing is for a great opportunity the town has that actually does fit within the criteria. That actually is it's going to be it's going to be. You are correct, but this particular, it's not just one. It could be more, but actually there's good reasoning. I think that's probably why, if you look back, the council did vote 6-0 to actually try to move forward with it.
Okay,
and it's still, even though you raise the numbers, it doesn't mean that you actually, that would be something that would be consistent all the time. I mean, it's just more or less trying to get us more in the realm of where we are today and with numbers versus when that program was first put in place.
Well, my thought went back to when we made the move on the bucket loader, quite a few referendums back, where we put out for the ask for the amount of funding for the bucket loader, but then the town came back, said, no, not so much. But then we actually raised the ordinance that allowed us to spend money beyond the $100,000 threshold, which we realized when it came to purchasing capital equipment, that might have been outdated and no longer relevant, considering you couldn't buy what we were looking for at $100K. So that's what I want to understand around that, and that's it. It's business related. I figured maybe you had a whale on the line, and I understand the NDAs, but I had to satisfy that curiosity when I saw that.
Understandable. Yeah, we appreciate your concern.
And then it was nice to see Mr. Chapman show up, and I'll just add my 2 cents there for what it's worth. I like the fact that the town has put a hard and fast, hey, we need to get this done by this point. And I love to see that we're willing to work with the folks who want to be the new owners of that space. However, I think the public safety piece of it comes into play, and I know that you all pressed that in that last meeting that we had, and I would encourage you to stick with that, because regardless of whether it's the person who owns it right now or the person who buys it, those folks would be responsible for whatever bill it is. And I think we're probably going to have a better success rate to make the public safer and be able to get to that faster, getting that building down, because we'll have access to more resources. We won't have to go out and get a $3,000 quote. We'll ask some of our guys to go take a peek and give us their heads up and say how long will it take. But I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I got one more for you. I thought I uploaded the memo, but so we're making some building repairs, and one of them was part of the ARPA spending plan, those security doors, and I'll just recap it if you didn't have a chance to read the memo. So based on Maine Municipal Association's workers' comp and Maine Municipal Association's property casualty, we're recommending moving forward with some of these repairs, installing security doors in corridors to limit public access. MMA's workers' comp has made a formal citation and requested that the repairs and plan of action be put in place within 30 days. Non-compliance will prevent us from benefiting from the Tier 1 savings program. And then, obviously, as you all know, the repairs to the outside wall that is bowing and deemed a safety hazard, MMA has declined to insure the town of Lisbon until those repairs are made. Our current carrier is unaware, so let's get this fixed before they're aware. But per the purchasing policy, repairs such as these and purchases deemed either emergency or whatever shall be approved by me and are not subject to the formal bid process, but it does require that I summarize them and bring them to the town council when I do that. So we're going to be moving forward with those repairs. Total cost of $26,497, with the understanding that $10,000 of those dollars is coming from the federal ARPA funds. The remaining portion, finance director has certified the funds are available. You folks had appropriated $20,000 in the last budget for a handyman for the buildings department. We were unsuccessful in filling that, so we were going to use the remaining funds for the handyman to fund these repairs. And Stroud Property Maintenance is the project manager and vendor who's going to be overseeing that, and they're going to be starting soon. So that was that last piece. And that's all I've got. Oh, wait, no, some fun news stuff. That AvCog is spinning up their 20-year transportation master plan for the area. There will be a public meeting June 13th, and on June 14th, there are digital and in-person options available. The information is posted on the town website. So that is, folks who live in Androscoggin County and the surrounding area opportunity to attend those public sessions for the Transportation Master Plan. And I believe that is all of the updates I have for you.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question? Have you had any more dialogue with the town of Bowden as far as on the Burr Road Bridge at all?
Good point. I did want to bring that up, and I almost forgot to. So I have had conversations with Saginaw County's EMA director and some email correspondence with their fire chief. The current ask is to reach out to their road commissioner. So the kind of situation we're in right now with this bridge, and this will be for the June 20th meeting when I come to you probably to ask for some money for a temporary. FEMA came out on Friday. We did a site walk. The bridge is posted for 22 tons. It's unzipping underneath, and we've started the design work for the replacement, and we've obviously pursued funding through the feds, through the CDS program, and if we get the disaster declaration from FEMA, that could be 75% from them, 10% from the state, and the rest from us. In the long term, the work is going to be done, and we thought we had time. What we didn't realize is that fire suppression to that area is impacted by the posted weight limit. So fire apparatus can't cross that bridge currently based on the posted limit, and there are folks on the Bowden side who operate businesses every day who regularly exceed those posted limits. People are trying to build houses, get materials delivered. So we've been evaluating temporary bridge options. We found Wyman, I think, in Richmond, and a company out of Pennsylvania that can do a temporary. The next step of that conversation is whether or not we get the disaster declaration, and also reaching out to Bowden maybe for some cost share on the rental for the bridge. I don't have numbers yet, but chances are it'll probably be a request to come to you to appropriate some of undesignated fund balance to create a capital reserve account for the rental while we wait for the disaster declaration and the reimbursement. But this is all still kind of playing out. I've reached out to Bowden. I know I've talked to a lot of Bowden residents, and those residents, I believe, have been going to their select board meetings to have those same discussions. And then DOT even recommended reaching out to Bowden to maybe capture some of the cost share for the temporary rental, if that's the route we go. But that's kind of where we're at with the bridge.
Yep. I mean, I'm sure you have, but legally wise, is there any legal obligation for Bowden to actually put a temporary bridge to facilitate their taxpayers that it really isn't?
No, but there is a public maybe perception and obligation maybe that they would want to. So we do have legal options as well, which I don't even know if it's worth bringing up, but discontinuance of the road is an option, as I understand it, which may not be a good option, and I've kind of said that to Bowden folks that, we're trying to do what's best and what's right, and, try to address the public safety concerns there, but right now it's, either rent a bridge and wait for the replacement and hope for some Fed reimbursement, or we evaluate that option as an option.
It does, if you actually go back and look, just if you look at the numbers, the road actually benefits 3 Lisbon taxpayers and benefits probably 20 plus Bowden residents. So it's one of those things where definitely the road is more used by Bowden than it is used by Lisbon in a sense. I'm not saying the 3 Lisbon residents aren't important, because they are, but it's one of those things where I think at the end of the day, I think we had discussed that even that road did continue to Bowden at one point in time, which is still there and can be improved on the other side if needed. So
I did get verbal preliminary estimate kind of from their road commissioner through Randy. And when they looked at that, because of all the ledge that was there, it would be about $10 million to extend that road, that mile of road from Roberts Road.
So I guess the temporary bridge would be a good deal for them.
Yeah. But again, so I'll come back to you in June 20th with how we address that.
Yep.
How many Lisbon residents are on the other side of the bridge?
I'm told 3 families, 3 households. I'm not sure the exact number, but that's.
So discontinuing the road is not a very good option.
It is an option. It's not a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very similar situation that we had on that Edgecombe Road with the old Mosquito Hill. I mean, the same ideal, and that's basically what the town chose to do there, was the idea of just not replace the bridge, right? But,
There may be some damages related to it, but maybe not to the same amount that it would cost to replace the bridge.
It depends if the feds come through or not with the money.
yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know about the disaster declaration. My stuff is due back to FEMA on the 9th. I've got some estimates. I mean, I won't go into the minutia of it because I don't know. I mean, it's like FEMA wants the numbers for restoring the bridge to the pre-storm condition, but we can't actually restore a bridge to pre-storm condition because it needs to be replaced. So it's really just a thought experiment, giving FEMA a number for what it would cost to theoretically repair a bridge you can't repair, which means I'm paying contracted professionals to pretend to repair a bridge that they can't actually repair that needs to be replaced. So just for the sake of meeting the disaster declaration threshold for the feds.
Have we had any ideas? I mean, even if it was a shovel-ready project right now, and we had money in the bank, I mean, we're still talking probably 2 years out, right? I mean, to get some. Anyway.
And when I talk to DOT, my understanding is that there's an Army Corps permit process that we need to go through, and that can take up to 6 months. Even if we're granted an emergency permit through the state, we're looking at the fall for bidding, and which means we're in the winter, means pouring concrete in the winter, which is not going to happen. So you're still kind of on the same construction schedule regardless, because the permit is really only putting us into the fall if we get the emergency
Starting
permit.
2024, right?
Yeah.
And did you get any rough ideas what to rent a bridge costs these days? I mean,
I have, preliminary numbers, but that doesn't include the approach work. It doesn't include the delivery from Pennsylvania, if that's who has the bridge in stock. It's around, and I don't know the length, but it's somewhere between $60 and $120 a day. And I don't know if it would meet the Atlantic salmon habitat and whatnot, but if you ended up buying the temporary bridge, they do give a 70% discount for all the rental fees that you've paid up to that point. But I don't know if we can if that's an option where you rent it to own it, and then if that's something we can even keep in place for, a long-term solution.
yeah, I mean, a lot of the bridges today that you see them replacing, it's nothing more than a huge culvert they bring in, and assemble on site. I mean, it's not what we think of as, pouring a bunch of concrete and doing what they used to do. I mean,
Yeah, I think our replacement is like a 16-foot, 6-inch box culvert that they drop in. I don't know. I don't build bridges. So.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be the trend these days on that. The water that goes under there's bridges that we have replaced just up the road a little bit, and that's pretty much all they've done, the same water flow, right? So,
Yeah.
interesting stuff. I mean, we knew it was going to be an issue at some point in time. It just became quicker than we thought.
Yeah, that storm event really accelerated the process because we were already on track in planning the replacement. It just, the impact to the day-to-day lives of the residents on the other side of the bridge is kind of now what's come to the forefront because the posted limit is preventing them from, running their businesses or building their houses or having fires put out if there is a fire.
What businesses does it affect over there?
Trying to remember the folks that called. There's an excavation company over there
Emerson,
on the other
maybe?
side. Emerson. He gets regular fuel deliveries, 72,000 pounds. He's got 10 or 15 truckloads of dirt he was saying that he had to bring. Well, that's how many trips he'll have to take to kind of comply with the posted limits. But told him to reach out to his insurance company and see what they can do for him. But it's kind of where we're at with it.
It's a mess. I mean, just hopefully we have good partners and Bowden's willing to actually step up and
Yeah, help out.
help out? If not, we're going to put a toll bridge in,
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
right?
Good suggestion.
All right, ready for the next item?
Next item is Order 2023-109 to adjourn.
All right, vote on to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Vote on it.
Yeah.
Good
Order
to go.
passed 6-0. Time is 7:21.